So
maybe.
we will turn the time over to Rick, and we'd like to say thank you for coming up once again, and hopefully we'll walk away with a little bit more knowledge of what we're looking for. So, thanks, Rick.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. You're sitting, the chair's on it. Hang on. There we go. All right, I am very glad to be here. When Phil asked me to talk on this subject, I thought it's like a 1-minute subject. It really is. Identifying gold ore, it sounds like it should be complicated and exciting, and it's really not. So, but I was able to put some stuff together. So, all right, I feel a little bit like I'm preaching to the choir here, so please bear with me a little bit.
Here with the stand, so you don't have to hold the mic.
No, because I have to see the screen too. I'm good.
I've got to stand there. So.
Are you telling me to stand?
No. I was asking if you want a mic.
No, I got it.
Can
Yeah.
we turn up a little bit?
No. I can hear me. Can everybody hear me? Okay. All right. Okay. So yeah, I feel a little bit like I'm preaching to the choir, so please bear with me a little bit. Hopefully I have brought some good information for you. If nothing else, I brought some show and tell, which is always better to look at than the screen or listen to me. So I have never really collected gold minerals, gold specimens. I had an experience. Anybody ever been up to the museum in Butte, Montana at the School of Mines there and seen the Centennial? The Highland Centennial Gold Nugget? I was working as a work-study student there, and while I was going to school, I had full access to the museum because they wanted somebody that could help clean mineral specimens, and I was very good at cleaning the mineral specimens and taking care of them and stuff. And it was Christmas Eve, so the 23rd of December, the school was closed. We closed the museum. I was alone. I shut up the museum, blasted out of there, came all the way back down to Salt Lake. I got got to Salt Lake at 2 o'clock in the morning, and my wife then was like, "Your boss is calling every 15 minutes." And I'm like, "What's he want?" I'm going through my head, well, I set the alarm, I shut the doors, I locked everything up, everything's good. And while I'm sitting there going through this in my head, he calls, and I answer the phone. He goes, "Rick, where's the nugget?" That's what we all referred to that. It's 2 pounds, 2.2 pound gold nugget.
And that's why Rick has got such an awesome mineral display.
So I said, "Well, seeing as how it's 2 o'clock in the morning, you're calling me, it must not be in the safe." And he goes, "Yeah, please tell me you borrowed it for spring or for Christmas break to show your friends, and you'll bring it back." I said, "Why would I do that?" I can't even imagine borrowing a 2.5 pound gold nugget, 2.2 pound nugget for for Christmas break. And I said, "No." And he goes, "That's what I told the FBI too." I was like, "Oh crap." So it went downhill from there. I got up in the morning to a phone call from the FBI who wanted to do a phone interview, and 45 minutes later I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is taking forever. I don't have any idea where the nugget is." And the guy from the FBI says, "We know you took it. It's obvious you took it, and we're not going to let this go." I'm like, "Oh crap." So I went to go back to bed, and when I hung up from him, I told him, I said, "If I'd taken the gold nugget, you guys would never know about it. You'd never find it. I could get rid of it so easily." And I hung up. And on my way back to the bedroom, I walked by the front room, and there was a Aries K car sitting out there, nondescript with the engine running. It's now Christmas Eve, and 2 guys in suits out there, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh." So they came to the door, and they wanted to come in the house and look through the house, and I was like, "Fine, you know, there's my truck, you can look through there too." I really didn't take it. I mean, I knew I didn't take it. So, they looked around, they didn't really search anything, they just kind of looked around. I'm like, if I took a 2 pound gold nugget, it's not gonna be sitting on the kitchen table. But anyway, so Christmas comes and goes. They're following us everywhere. Boxing Day comes, and I take them out some hot chocolate in the morning, and I give them a list and said, "You know, I've always wanted to lose the FBI in a high-speed chase. So here's a list of every place I'm going today and what time I will be there. See if you can keep up." I lost them twice. And we took the family to dinner at Valley Fair Mall somewhere. I can't remember where, but sure enough, we got there. I got there about 10 minutes before the scheduled I was going to get there. And there they were sitting there having coffee. So, they're like, "Don't do that again." I'm like, yeah. What are you going to do about it? I mean, try and keep up. So I go back to school in January, and the school wanted to expel me for it. And I'm like, seriously, there's no evidence, no concrete evidence. It's just circumstantial that makes me look like I took the nugget. I gotta admit, I kind of do look guilty, but I didn't do it. And my boss from the museum, he went to bat for me, and he's like, he told the administration and the FBI, if Rick wanted to take something valuable, he has access to $1 million specimens in the storage room that he cleans and preps. They could disappear, and it would be 100 years before we even knew it. There's no reason he's going to jeopardize anything for that gold nugget, which was at the time valued at about $50,000. In fact, Coors Beer bought it for $50,000 and donated it to the school. And so the school let me come back in, but I didn't go anywhere without 2 FBI agents following me everywhere. I'm pretty sure they were in the bathrooms when I went in, but it was getting really ridiculous. And then in March, the first part of March, there was this highway patrolman pulled this guy over for suspicion of drunk driving. He was not only drunk, he was on drugs. He had drug paraphernalia, open bottles of whiskey sitting there in the front seat of his car. And he tells the highway patrol, if you don't arrest me, I'll tell you where that nugget is. They arrested him, got a search warrant. It was on his coffee table in his front room. So, so I was like, yes, now I'm going to get an apology. Nope, that never came either. So he had gone in about 3 days before anybody realized it. And we had this antique safe in the museum that it was kept in. It had a sheet of plexiglass in front of it. But all that was holding the plexiglass in was just a 1/2 by 1/2 inch first stripping on the top and bottom with 3 screws in it. And he came in and saw that, and he just came in with a little Black & Decker cordless drill and tipped it forward, reached in, grabbed it, put it back in. And I closed up the museum for 3 days and never noticed that it was gone. So I felt kind of stupid about that. But anyway, it is back on display, and they have a big poster there, the history of the Highland Centennial Gold Nugget. And they left my name out of it, thank goodness. But yeah, so the 2 guys that found it, a father and son team that were panning and dredging about 20 miles outside of Butte, and they had a great big shaker, and the dad took all the big stuff in it and slung it, and the son watched this nugget go flying through the air. So that's how it was discovered. So. And that is why I have an aversion to collecting gold. So I don't want to touch it anymore. So, all right, I've lost my glasses. Did I leave them over there? All right. Oh, thank you. All right. So we all know what gold is. Our gold ore is. It's any rock that contains gold. It's pretty simple. Like I said, I'm preaching to the choir here. All right. This little saying sometimes is not all that is basically sums up that not everything is what it seems, and that seems to be really the case with gold ores. So anyway, here we go. We're going to get into it now. So, one little definition first. When is a ton not a ton? So, a lot of times we read in the records and in the reports and stuff, a ton, spelled T-O-N, or a long ton, which is a British ton, and then a metric ton, which is 1,000 kilos. So none of these are really the same. They're all different amounts. So avoirdupois is a fancy French word that means the English pound. I don't know why we use that. So, but that's what it is. All right. There are 7 different types of gold ore. And so now everybody can sit back and relax for the next 742 slides. I'm just kidding. All right. So, whoops, I went too far. Free milling gold ore, this is what everybody likes to find. This is where you have visible gold or golden rock that you can crush up and pan the gold out of. It's quite simple that way. Here you can see some gold in the rock here. So that rock can be crushed up easily, and that could be panned out or taken out however you want. This is the most common type of gold ore in the world. It is characterized by the presence of visible gold particles that are easily liberated from the surrounding rock by crushing and grinding. The gold particles are usually small, ranging in size from a few microns to a few millimeters. I think all of us have probably come, or at least seen gold ore that has much bigger gold in it, and it's the same thing. So the process of removing this is simply that, just crushing it up into a fine powder, mixing it with water to form a slurry, and then passing that slurry over gravitational separation devices, or panning it, and then taking the gold out and turning it into the bullion. All right, a couple of mines that operate like this is the Climax mine in Colorado. They're long closed, but they had a lot of free mill gold. The one in Australia, there's two of them there. I think both of them are the same, but they spell their names slightly different. Most of the gold from California that we see in the white quartz is the same thing. So. The Iron King mine in the West Tintic Mountains was the only deposit I know of in Utah where they were trying to get the gold out of the iron ore. I think the slide's in the wrong place. We'll come back to this one. Oh, I think my thing's skipping. Okay, there we go. All right, so here's another sample. This gold is from Bingham. This is gold in quartz. I got this from a guy that's now in prison. Yeah, so he was a security guard up at the gold plant up here, and he caught one of the guys working in the gold room taking gold bricks out. He caught him doing it, and he said, rather than turn him in, he just said, "We're going to split it." So the guy that was smuggling out the gold bricks, which were about a ½ inch thick and 3 by 5 inches, they were much smaller bricks than they do now. But he was getting out about one a month, and this guy caught him, this security guard, and he said, "Well, now I want half, or I'm going to turn you in." And but the guy that was originally doing it had been doing it for a really long time, and he wasn't flashy about it. He didn't change his lifestyle. He was just stockpiling the gold, stockpiling some money, some cash. He did buy a house in Arizona. The kid that was the security guard went out and bought a Ferrari. On a security guard's pay, and that was the first tip-off. So it didn't take him long. This was back when I still had the rock shop, and he came in and he was like, "Rick, I got to find some place to hide all my gold." And I'll take that one. So it's pretty small. I have it up here. We'll see it afterwards. You can come up and see it. It's pretty small, but I did not want any of the bullion. Nope, I wasn't going to go there. So, all right. So that's a couple of the mines that are free milling gold. The iron oxide copper gold ore, also known as IOCGs, which sounds weird, but this is when you get an iron deposit that has copper, usually has copper, and then it has gold. These are actually quite common. Most people don't realize a lot of the iron deposits around the world have a lot of gold in them. Some of the ones in Brazil that we've been to, in fact, one of the largest deposits of iron I've ever seen. When we were down there, we were driving through the mining area for the iron, and it was like 2 hours of driving through a mine. I was mining on both sides of the road for like 2 hours. It just went on and on and on. You could see it going off and over the hills and into the distance. And I don't know how big that deposit is really, but it had to be, 2 hours long and at least 10 miles wide. So, and they've been mining it since the 1700s. So it has a lot of copper and a lot of gold. They're mining it for the iron, but they're not going to get rid of the gold. They're going to save all that. So the Utah's iron deposits down in Iron County are big. They're pretty good size, but they lack the gold. They have the copper, but they lack the gold. So the Iron King mine in the West Tintic district was the only mine that I know of in Utah that tried to extract gold from their iron. It's not a very big deposit. In fact, when we were there, I don't think the whole mine is as big as this room. So I obviously didn't get a lot. So the process of iron oxide copper gold ore involves crushing the ore into a fine powder and then mixing it with water to form a slurry, and then subjecting it to magnetic separation, which separates out the iron oxides and leaves all the other minerals, the copper, gold, and whatever else might be in there. And then the concentrate is then subject to flotation and separates the copper and the gold minerals. Gold's slightly heavier, so, and then taking it down through the smelting process. These kinds of deposits are usually massive, 10 million to 4 billion tons of ore reserves. So that's just massive. And then the copper can be pretty low grade. You can see 0.2 to 5% copper, and with 0.1 to over 3 grams of gold per ton. So not a whole lot, but if you're going after the iron, this is just gravy. So because of they operate on such large scales, they can be very profitable. Here's an example of some very weathered iron, gold, copper ore. Iron Mountain down in Utah. I don't know if you can see it in the picture there. I was down there one year in the winter. Obviously, there's snow everywhere. And we were going to try and get down and collect on that wall over there at the bottom. And if any of you have ever been down there, these pits, they're not real large, but they're pretty good size. And you can drive all the way down to the water level down here. And the water there is bright green because of the algae that lives on the acid in the water. And it's bright green. We call it the toilet bowl, the 2,000 flushes. And but we got there in the winter, and there was the Cedar City Hockey Club out here playing hockey on the ice. So we sat up there on the high wall and cheered for a while. So it was pretty fun. Just out of reach over here is about 15 cars that they had parked down there, 2 of which got stuck in the snow. So here is the mine in Ouro Preto that I was talking about, one of them. So the big map up there is Brazil. This is Minas Gerais, which is about the size of Texas. And then Ouro Preto is right here. And Ouro Preto, the words Ouro Preto mean black gold. And that's because they had so much gold there, but it was all trapped in the hematite, the iron oxide. And so in 1711, this little village, this is all that's left of it, is a painting like this wood carving, was Villa Rica, and which means rich village. And it was there in what's now Ouro Preto, the town. And it was founded in 1711. At one time, it was the capital of Minas Gerais, the mining state. From 1720 to 1897, it was the capital. Back in the early days, it was it was the largest city in the Western Hemisphere back up until like maybe the late 1800s. So it was very large. These, you can see they have, I can't remember how many cathedrals. Do you remember how many cathedrals they had? It's like 12? Yeah, like 12 cathedrals there. And so this is just a picture I stole offline. It's not one of my pictures, but you have this cathedral there, the big one up there on the hill. There's just so many cathedrals there. It's insane. And now there's only about 60,000 people that live there. But back in the gold rush, this was the wealthy capital of the Western Hemisphere. And I think is this chapel right here. No, it's not that one. Is that one right there? Is that the one we went to? I don't think so. I don't think the one we went to is in here. Let's see, I got a picture of it though. Yeah, they had 100,000 people living here. This is the chapel we went to. It's very large inside, as most of these cathedrals are. And they had 400 kilos of gold that they used to gild everything inside. So all the statues, all the walls, if you sit on the benches, you can see where people sat there and scratched the gold off the walls with their fingers. And I so wanted to do that, and our guide was like, no. So I'm like, dang it. What's that?
It's all 24K?
It's gold out of the stream and out of the stuff. So I wouldn't say it's 24, but it's probably 22 karat. So it's pretty rich stuff. So this is the, I don't know what you call it in a cathedral. It's massively large. You can see the chair, the back of the chair right there for scale, but this is probably 20, 25 feet high, and almost every surface there is gilded with gold. So it's pretty impressive. Oh, I'm going to go back to this one. So there's 2 bells up there. They're cast from the iron that's local, but the cross and all the rafters hanging out over there and everything is carved from soapstone that is mined just a few miles out of town, one of the largest soapstone deposits. And so all of this whole chapel, everything here is 300 years old. I mean, they do renovations, but the majority of this is all original. And they have all that kind of stuff inside too. So, all right, Oro Preto is just for fun. It's also the famous for its imperial topaz crystals and tourmalines, diamonds. We went panning for diamonds just outside of town. We didn't find any. We did. We also panned for nuggets, and the guy had the screen. He was showing us how to do it, and we're panning and we're panning. I would have been happy finding 2 flakes, and all of a sudden he drops out of the pan this gold nugget that's, I don't know, it was like 1/2 inch across. And I looked at him, I said to him, I said, how did that gold nugget get through that 1/4 inch screen? He's like, all right, we brought it to show you. I'm like, yeah, well, now I want it. He wouldn't sell it to me. So, iron mines that do the iron, copper, and gold, these are some of the big ones. And you know, if you know anything about some of these, they're massive mines. They're just huge, massive deposits. All right, refractory gold. I told you this was going to be boring. Refractory gold is a type of gold where the gold is difficult to extract using conventional methods. It's often associated with sulfide minerals such as pyrite, arsenopyrite, stibnite, chalcopyrite, which encapsulates the gold particles and prevents them from being liberated conventionally by crushing and grinding. They have to be done through chemical methods, usually like a cyanide leach. So they grind it into a powder and then use a cyanide leach. It becomes very complicated, and I'm going to show this next screen just to show how complicated it is. So here's where the gold goes in, and it goes, and it comes out down here. But it takes a long time to get through all this. So now, when you go into these refineries, they're fun to walk through because it's like going through an amusement park. You've got water sloshing over here and spirals of ore and slurry coming down and doing all kinds of fun things. It's like Willy Wonka's, just with gold instead of chocolate. So this is the Golden Sunshine Mine. It's just east of Butte, about 20 miles. When I was going to school in Butte, we got to go there. And they were like, you will be scanned going in and coming out with a metal detector. And so you're not going to get in and out with any gold. And I thought, well, okay, you know. They gave us a little bottle with like 2 little grains in it. And I was like, the bottle costs more than the gold, I'm sure. But my friend, who was another student, because they gave us rubber boots to put on, and we all tucked our pants inside the boots. He took his pants outside the boots and rolled them up into a cuff and stuck his foot underneath the slurry of gold ore coming down through the thing, and wound up with probably about 6 ounces of gold slurry, which was really high concentrate gold. And he would not share any of that. It's like, you little butthead. So, but anyway, it's a fun place to go. It's still in operation. They also get a limestone there that has a common opal in it that just fluoresces beautifully orange. So, here's some examples of these kinds of mines. Again, these usually tend to be really large deposits. Witwatersrand, that's an interesting mine in South Africa. Anybody ever heard of it? Okay, I can say whatever I want, nobody will know the truth, right? No, Witwatersrand is a massive mine. They've been mining it for a couple of 100 years. It's about 200, 300 feet underneath the sand is where the ore is. And so they build these great big buildings over the top of the sand. They dig all the sand out. But unfortunately, they don't have modern construction practices. And so buildings tend to get swallowed and miners die all the time. It's like nothing for 1,200 miners to disappear so into the sand. They also have a lot of war stuff going on over there. And it wasn't that long ago, 10 years ago or so, there was two tribal wars going on. And 4,000 people took refuge inside one of the underground mines. And the other tribe just buried it and buried them alive. So, yeah, and the government wouldn't do anything about that. So, all right, the next one is carbonaceous gold ore. This is when you get gold that's trapped inside of carbon deposits, like a coal bed or something similar to a coal bed. And it's usually just considered a type of the refractory gold deposits, but it's kind of a separate. I think it's separate. Some people categorize it as just a subtype. The gold gets trapped in graphite or bituminous material, coal type material, and then it's very difficult to get out. You can't get it out by just grinding it. Again, you have to use chemical methods. So they use a chemical on it. It's called a Lexaviant, which is a chemical that breaks down the carbon without damaging the gold. So none of our coal seams in Utah have gold, none. I have seen carbon deposits where you can see gold in them, but that's extremely rare. I don't have any of them. So, yep. So the Lexaviant is a chemical compound. Usually it's a thiosulfate or a iodine or bromine mix that dissolves the carbon and leaves the gold. So it's kind of like cyanide, but it's a lot less caustic and dangerous. So, Owl Creek and Hoyle Pond gold mines located in California both have this kind of deposit. I think I skipped a slide right at the beginning. A lot of gold mines will have more than one type of these deposits in their mine. So they may have, the carbonaceous one over here and the refractory one over there, and they have to mine them by different methods. And that's why gold mining can be so complicated. So, all right, orogenic ores. Okay, this is deposits of gold from orogenies. Get your mind out of the gutter. This is an orogeny is a mountain building process. So, all right. So I'm going to stand up and explain this one a little bit. So this is an orogeny process going on right here. This is exactly what is happening in California along the San Andreas Fault. So you have this fault right here, comes down, and this piece of crust is moving that way. The continental crust is moving this way. This is oceanic crust. When you get this, what happens is this one dives down deep. You get magma that comes up. I don't know why they made it blue, but it should have been red. It comes up right up along the fault here. When it gets up to a point where physics allows it to just come straight up, it'll come straight up instead of coming out this way. Here you get a lot of oceanic crust that builds up. As this is pushing forward, all this oceanic crust is building here. The mountain building process, you get these little faults. The mountain building process is here where the volcanoes go up, and the volcanoes go straight up like this. And so this is an orogeny, and the magma is where this comes in. This is where the magma differentiation comes in. You get the yellow and this red. This is where the gold is deposited in quartz. So makes beautiful specimens. Any questions about that? Feel free to ask questions. Okay. Okay. Here's another diagram that shows it as well. So you can see the same thing here where it shows the purples where the gold deposits are. So again, you have the oceanic crust. This one's going backwards compared to the other one. And this is the type of deposit where we get beautiful gold specimens in quartz like that. This is not my specimen. I stole it offline. Well, I have never stolen a gold specimen. I don't care what the FBI says. So, all right. So this also, you get schists and gneiss involved with this kind of deposit. And here you can see, which is funny because I couldn't find my picture of this at the mine in Brazil, but I found this picture online. And the picture I took is this exact same swirl from down there. It's very famous. So you have the quartz and the schist here. This is probably a 3 foot, maybe a 4 foot tall picture here. And you go to this gold mine. It's a tourist trap now. They charge you $10, and they put you in a little cart and lower you down. So you think you're going to your death. And you get down in there and you just walk around and look at it. There's no guide or anything down there to give you any information or anything like that. You just walk around and look at it. And of course, I'm walking around with my hand lens, trying to find a piece of gold that I can pop out. And you can see right where the quartz and the mica can contact, you can see a little flower gold in there, but not enough to get anything out. But so it's really kind of cool. And then when you're done after an hour, they holler down and tell you to get back in and you go back up. So there's shrines down there, and it's pretty interesting. So you go down and at T intersects, you can go one way and you come out in Oro Preto, which is 25 miles away. You can go the other way and you come out in some other town that I can't remember. Mariana? I think it was Mariana. You can come out in Mariana, which is like 12 miles away. So it's quite a large mine. It was mined for 300 years. It was just closed in the 1990s, 1980s, I think, somewhere about then. There's levels in there that go down deeper, but they're all flooded. And the scuba diving club comes in there and scuba dives down to them for the fun of it. What's that?
You don't dredge it?
No, I don't think there's enough flower gold down there to dredge, but maybe, I don't know. They weren't doing anything like that when I was there. So, there's lots of, you can see what over here looks like gold. That's actually chalcopyrite. There's lots of that mixed in here with it. So, here's some deposits that are refractory type deposits. Probably the most famous one up there is the Mother Lode at Homestake. Although the giant Yellowknife deposit is just that giant. So, all right. So these types of deposits are what we call epithermal, which means hot water, hotter than hydrothermal. And so you get, So you get other minerals mixed in with them, often molybdenite. Here in Utah, we find cinnabar mixed in with these kinds of deposits. A lot of the deposits also have silver, an immense amount of silver. In fact, some of the deposits in Utah that have this kind of deposits are more silver than they are gold. So gold was a byproduct. When we say hot water, we mean about 300 degrees Celsius, which is only 575 degrees Fahrenheit, 572 degrees Fahrenheit. These deposits are almost always shallow compared to the other ones. You saw the magma balls coming up, so they're usually in the top 1,500 feet of the surface. They don't usually get too much deeper than that, although some of them do. So one thing I should mention is that in past history, when we had volcanoes that have been completely eroded away and are gone, all that gold is gone too. So everything was gone. So here's some examples. Eureka, that's my favorite one up there. Oh, okay. We should go there.
Yeah, we do.
All right. The seventh one is the porphyry gold copper ore. The term porphyry is an ancient term that means purple. And when you look at the old purple rocks that were used in Europe in architecture, they're all porphyry deposits. So porphyry is a type of rock and a texture of rock. So it has two different meanings. We're talking about the type of rock. Porphyry texture is when you have a fine ground mass with other crystals in there, usually feldspar crystals. Sometimes it's quartz, but you have this fine ground mass in there, and then the crystals. And it can be, it doesn't have to be purple, it can be any color. And so you can have any kind of rock that is a porphyry if it's igneous, which eliminates sedimentary and metamorphic. So, coarse grain crystallization of quartz and feldspar disperses in the fine grained silica. So here we talk about a generally aphanitic mixture of ground mass. Aphanitic is in or relating to an igneous rock in which crystals are of fine grained minerals distinguished. It cannot be distinguished with the naked eye. So going back to the picture, so you can't tell what the purple is here, the red. You can't tell what it is. You can tell what the big crystals are, but you can't tell what the fine grain is. That's what aphanitic means. All right. Porphyry deposits are often associated with large-scale, low-grade operations. It's characterized by the presence of copper minerals such as chalcopyrite, bornite, chalcocite, as well as gold, silver, pyrite, moly is very common in these mines. So this is the kind of mines that we have here for Kennecott. That's what Kennecott is. Here is another, oh, this one's in here twice. So I already explained that. The Moho over there, that's the Moho discontinuity, the Mohovic discontinuity. That is the membrane between the crust and the mantle, to give you an idea of how the scale there. So 25 to 50 miles, 75 miles deep. Porphyritic deposits were emplaced at depths of approximately 1 to 6 kilometers with vertical thicknesses on average of 2 kilometers. So Kennecott's obviously the exception to that because I think they're deeper than 2 kilometers and they're still going down. So, anybody want to take a guess at how many tons of copper are estimated in the world? Unmined? It's a big number.
700 billion.
Not quite that. Much bigger. Yep, 1.7 trillion tons. This is just of the estimated copper in porphyries. So thinking about how much gold there is in a porphyry deposit, which is not a lot, a few grams per ton, that's still a lot of gold. Still a lot of gold. At current rate of operation and consumption, this is 8,000 years worth of mining we have left. So anybody who's into mining, we're going to be around a while. Miners aren't going anywhere.
That's what we know about.
That's what we know about. This is the amount of ounces per gold estimated to be in that 1.7 billion or trillion ounces of, or trillion tons of porphyry. I don't even know what you call that number.
That's not even, that's more, way more than a trillion.
It's trillion, it's several trillion. It's trillions of trillions. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, billion trillion. Billion trillion ounces. So gold is not that rare. Don't let anybody else know about this. The prices will fall. All right. The Bingham Copper Mine, Park City, Milford, those are all actually part of the same volcanic activities that in place them. The Trixie Mine in Eureka runs, they just mined out a seam, it was called the T2 structure, and it was operating, so it was, oh, I don't think I brought this rock. So it ran 747 ounces per ton. So the green rock on that is a mineral called zodimecatolite. And if you pick that piece up, you can visibly see the gold specks in it. They're just like sprinkled around on there like glitter. And that's not my specimen, but mine's not quite that good. All right, so yeah, it's mixed in with the zodimecatolite, which is just kind of fun to say. All right. All right, so as prospectors, what's the one type of deposit I didn't mention up here? Placer deposits. And that's because mining companies don't consider them anything important. So they're great for us small scale people, but they don't really exist in the world of mining companies. So these little gold pellets, which I do have up here, came from a sandstone deposit along the Dolores River. A guy brought me in these 3 little pellets, and he told me he was getting them out of sandstone along the Dolores River. And I was like, I don't believe you. So show me. So he brought me in a slab of sandstone that was loaded like somebody had shot them into it. And he had both halves. And you could, as you picked them out, you could see the indents on both sides of the rock. So they actually did form there in that sandstone. And it was dark red sandstone. And I've looked there many times and I can't find it. The Dolores River's long. I couldn't believe how long it was. I was like, this can't be that hard to find. But it was. It was his dad's claim and then his claim, and I haven't seen him since he gave me those 3 years ago. There's that one again. So I can't even imagine finding something that's running 747 ounces per ton. That's like ridiculous. And for the record, they've mined it out, and now they're financially strapped because the ore ran out, and now they don't have any money.
This was down by Eureka.
Yeah, this is the Trixie mine as you're going.
Eureka's beautiful, there's lots of stuff in it.
Oh yeah,
This is as you're going into town off to the left.
yeah. You have the Bergen and the Trixie. So.
And they just hit it in 2019 and they mined it out already, huh?
Yep. Yeah, it didn't take them very long. It was a very small.
Wasn't very big.
Yeah, it wasn't very big.
Rich as hell.
I knew at one point how much gold they took out, but now I can't remember. They've laid everybody off except for a couple of the admin people. Nobody's mining anymore down there. Here is some gold from the Tintic Standard mine. You can see it right up in there. This is one I found probably about 10 years ago on the dump. So you don't find anything like this down there anymore. All right. Any questions? Question and answers? That was it. Sorry, Phil, it didn't take that long.
Do you think gold forms mostly in the quartz instead of the iron ore?
I think probably there is more gold in the iron deposits just because they're so much larger. They're just massively large than compared to the quartzes. But the quartz ones tend to have way more gold per ounce than or per ton than the iron ones do. So it's really hard to say.
And it's easier to get.
And it's easier to get. Yeah. For us. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I've got a lot of samples up here, and I'll uncover these. I didn't want everybody to be mauling them before we were done, so I'll uncover these. The ones on the right, I don't care if you pick them up and play with them. The ones on the left are a little on the other way around. So the ones on this side you can pick up and play with. The ones on this side, they're a little more fragile. Please don't pick those ones up. So, but any other questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
So they have new deposits that they've started to explore and discover up in Wyoming. Do we know what kind of deposits those are?
I do not.
No? Okay.
I can make something up though. Any others? Okay, well then we'll uncover these and have everybody come up and look at them.
Actually.
Yes.
So when I find a piece of ore or think that there's gold in it, would I see the gold more in the rock, or would I take a gut feeling and bust it up to see if there's something in there?
It depends on where the rock came from. You know, you had the big piece of jasperoid earlier.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
a couple pieces of ore in here.
Yeah, so, you know, honestly, if there is gold in there, it's going to be very small and it might be hard to see. If you're trying to assay it out, you know, take it in, sell it as that, and have somebody, yeah.
Thank you.
You bet. Any other questions? Boy, usually there's lots of questions. All right, we'll uncover these. No? One more thing, you can follow Marita and I on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, if it's around. You can, Utah Rock Collectors and Utah Mineral Collectors are our Facebook groups, the two big ones. You can join. This is our link tree. You can just take a picture of it or just snap on it and follow us.
You're gonna get that on the website. Good job. That'll be on the website, folks.
I'm in for that Utah mining history page that you.
I am, yes.
Yeah, that's a really good page too.
I forgot to put that one on the list. Yeah.
Got some really
I just started that one, and I haven't really got it going yet. And I have a handful of other ones too, but so yeah. I don't know what to do with this.